Hello and welcome to the Music Production Podcast. This is your host, Brian Funk. I'm coming to you from Ableton Loop. Ableton Loop is a summit for music makers in which a lot of music producers from the community get together, talk about music making. There's some great panels and discussions and studio sessions. There's also just the chance to run into some really cool people that I've been talking to for ages and finally get to meet face to face, some of them from this very podcast too. Yesterday I was hanging around the Maker Zone at Loop and there was a little bit of free time, and Angelica from Ableton asked me if I'd like to give a little presentation. It was about sound design, really. There were a lot of modular synths in the room and people were making their own sounds and instruments, so I figured I would talk a little bit about my work in doing some sound design, making my own Ableton Live packs and instruments, and just doing some sampling. And I think it came out pretty good. I had a really cool audience of people there that I respect and admire, and it was very fun to talk to them about this. And I've got the audio here for you next. I do apologize, not the greatest recording, but it was done with my field recorder in a loud room. Did my best to clean it up, but hopefully you can still enjoy it and get something to take away from it. And enjoy making your own sounds. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Funk. I make music as Afro DJ Mac, and I have a podcast that I introduce exactly the same way I'm doing right now, I realize. It's called a Music Production Podcast. And I'm doing a impromptu making sound type of thing. I'm flattered to be asked to present, so thank you for having me. And thank you to Pass to Me for having a few ideas prepared for you for this. So we're kind of like talking about making sounds. There's a lot of modules here and coming up with your own sound and making things yours. And it might seem kind of pointless on some level, because if you look inside your live browser, you have about 900 billion and 17,000 sounds. So there's a lot of sounds that you come prepared with that you already have, and there's perfect pianos that were recorded in pristine studios. So why make your own sounds? And the reason is because that's how you make your own sound, is by making your own sounds, by finding them yourself and mining the things that are around you as a resource. You can start to create your own sound and have things that other people don't have. So although we all have that same pristine piano, for instance, I have a piano in my house that is 100 years old that I got at the Salvation Army. It's a beautiful piano, and it's not perfect at all. Some of the keys make noises. It's not perfectly in tune. Some of the strings are a little dissonant with each other, but in just the right way, in such a magical way. I sampled that whole piano, and I came up with this instrument here. And what I think is so cool, I've released this for free download, by the way, so if you want to go to my site, afrodjmac.com, you can download this for free and have it in your possession. And part of what I think is so cool about this is now this piano that was clearly played by other people, it's got a lot of wear and tear. The keys are worn. The hammers, they have like the indentations from the strings. Over 100 years of being played. There were definitely some people that played this piano, and it's almost like the piano has a soul because of that. There's a spirit of these people that you can hear in every note. And now, by releasing this to the world, it's really cool to know that other people have this too, and now this piano is kind of moving on into this other kind of existence, post-analog world, into the digital realm and into your computers and laptops. So download that, please, and send me some music. I get a real kick out of it. But I want you to think a little bit about what you have around you to make sounds with, because it's very easy to walk past things and go through your day and not realize that there's stuff going on that you can use, that you can create things. And I've got a couple of funny examples I just want to show you that I'll probably release some of these in the future. The first one we'll do is a little more traditional. I'm a high school English teacher by day, and sometimes the band room, which has an awesome collection of instruments, just have them lying around. So it was testing week last year, and they had this huge marimba. They use the elevator to move this thing around. It's an incredible instrument, sounds amazing. And I saw it and I was like, I want that. You know, having a marimba in your house is totally impractical though. You know, you really, you need a whole studio apartment for one of those. And I didn't have anything good to record it, except, not that card, but this phone. And it's just an iPhone 6 I think even, and it's not the greatest microphone in the world, it's okay. But I used the voice memo app to record it because I'm thinking I either get this sample of this marimba or I don't. And what I find, funny enough, is the character of that microphone, much like the imperfections on that piano, come through when you start sampling it and you start stretching those sounds across the keyboard. And I've got this is the Hallway Vibes instrument I made, which I can open up here and let you hear or see the samples. I'll right click and go into Show in the browser. That's not it. That's something else I recorded in the hallway. I didn't even have a mallet. That's my knuckle hitting the marimba with my iPhone, you know? And I just recorded a bunch of sounds there, a bunch of samples, and the results, you know, I think is quite surprising considering I don't have the proper, you know, the mallet to hit it, and I don't have a good mic, but nice. Nice and peaceful. I put a little tremolo on it just to give it that like little movement there, but this to me is like a nice reminder that I could have walked past this and kind of been a little snobbish. I don't have my proper setup, you know, my field recording, you know, and just walked past it and not had the sound. But now I've got the sound, and even like the way the impact happens, I think is kind of nice. It's just like the kind of gentle sound of my bone really hitting that piece of wood. So it's an instrument I have now. I will go to another one that is a little less instrumental, I guess. And I was at the Home Depot shopping for paints. And when you open the door, because they have to lock up the paints in case you buy graffiti to do, you know, graffiti or street art, depending on, you know, whose side you're on. They lock these things up. But when you open that gate, you can hear the Home Depot man talking in the background on the PA. My wife was kind enough to go back with me and let me record this with my phone. And I came up with just this instrument here. Put it in the sampler, picked the sound I liked. Played around with a little filter modulation, a little chorus. But now it's this like ghostly, spiritual sound, which I think could even be cool for like a white noise type of thing. And I'm kind of getting into this idea of like things instead of white noise, like kind of traditional sounds. And like to me, I think this could be kind of fun, maybe a little, just for transitional purposes, or just, I mean, it sounds alive almost. Maybe if I play a minor chord, it'd be good for like a haunted house sound. Again, but though this is something that I just came across that I captured in the moment with the iPhone. I'm going to end you with one more, and I'll take you back to my high school teaching days. One of my duties at my job is to monitor the in-school suspension room. So by the time I would see these students, it was late in the day, and they had been restless and bored, and now they're trying all different kinds of acts of defiance to stir you up and to get you, riled up so they can entertain themselves, because unfortunately the in-school suspension room is very boring. You're just kind of supposed to sit there, do your work. No one does their work. But this student had a Snapple can, and he thought it'd be funny if he bent it into some sort of like shape and then blew in it. He would make this sound. And I happen to have my laptop in there, and you can just see how this peaks the waveform. The microphone is distorted. It was loud. There's kids laughing in the beginning. It sounds like there's an elephant in the room. That expression, isn't it? But now, I had a choice too, where I could have said, hey, you stop that, you're not able to do that, you're not ISS, be good. But I decided to harness it, so I recorded it. I told him, do it again. And he came over, he did it again, we recorded the sound, and then I started making some instruments out of it. And one of the nice bonuses is now, instead of a confrontation with this student, I've now got like a collaborator now. And that's that's the door. So that annoying sound that was meant to get under my skin is now this like really interesting pad, this like lush, all those harmonics going on, all the texture.
Can you switch up the effects? I don't know what comes from the effect and what comes from.
I don't have any effects on this actually. I just have a filter. I've got the filter.
On the right-hand side, this box?
This is just a channel strip. I could delete that. It's not even doing anything. Yeah, this is unfiltered. So just to tame some of the harshness, I took those higher frequencies out with a low-pass filter. Yeah, and it does sound like there's a whole bunch of stuff going on it, but there's not. It's just that sound.
Yeah, what's amazing that there are some notes coming out of the sound which, when you hear it first, it doesn't sound like pitched tunes.
Yeah, again, it is like, it was meant to annoy me. I just love the way this waveform looks, because you can just see like the aggression in this child like coming through as he blows into the Snapple can. And I took this one and, to further show him what we can do with this, I made a plucked version of this, which is pretty much the same thing, except I'm playing around with the amplitude envelope. I said amplitude. Amplitude envelope. So now it's like almost like a bell. And then I also did a drum rack, which we can hear here. And I only did 2 sounds on this because they don't have a very good attention span, so they didn't want to sit around and wait too long to do this. I need a little clip here. Again, that's the Snapple can. I thought it was funny for myself to make a really mellow sounding piece of music for him compared to what he was trying to do. Just be really disruptive. And it was nice to kind of harness him and turn him around from this like upset, defiant student and kind of give him a little interest in music too. And it's, to me, just a nice reminder that you can find music everywhere. When you look, when you dig a little deeper and try to see if, I didn't know that was going to sound like that. And it's an experiment for a lot of this. And sometimes it takes you in surprising places and you can make some really cool things. So, although those are very beautiful modules and they light up and there's cool colored wires and I'm very tempted to get into this modular world when I look at that, there's plenty of stuff around you everywhere you go. And it's a cool way to maybe get rid of some of that gear acquisition syndrome a little bit, but also come up with your own unique sounds, something that no one else has. And then you can share them on the internet and give them to everybody, and they all have them too. But yeah, just something to think about. And this is a cool place probably to find some cool sounds. So go around with your phone, just record. Don't worry about the quality. You can still get some cool stuff with it. So thank you guys for listening. Do you have questions or anything? But
Now, about the sampler, there's one feature that I really like with this kind of stuff is using the OSC tab. You see?
Yes.
This one, but do you consider that cheating?
Oh, I did that.
I did do that. Look at that.
You did do that. Okay,
Yeah,
so.
I did cheat it. Maybe.
Yeah, you did cheat.
So I have a little
That brings
frequency
those-
modulation.
That's not cheating.
That's not cheating. It's amazing, like bringing
Yeah.
an oscillator to the unpitched sound is.
Yeah. And
Makes
that
it really,
it pulls out textures as well
yeah, exactly.
in interesting ways.
This reminds me of, this isn't really a question, so I can hold off there.
No, go ahead.
But it reminds me of something I did in my freshman year of college in music production class. Basically, the whole class went around and just recorded a whole bunch of like different sounds, like like hitting a 2-liter and like the buzzer on the elevator, just all the stuff, toilets flushing, just like random stuff we could find in the building. So our assignment was to make a track out of these sounds, and so it's a funny thing. Like I was going through like when I heard the 2-liter, like hitting the bottom of the 2-liter, it clipped the mic.
Yeah.
And I was like instead of like being upset about that, I was like, oh shoot, I know where I can go with this. And so I made a hardstyle track out of a 2-liter bottle.
Right.
And most of the other synths were like the elevator buzzer, like repitched and put through sampler filter, did a little frequency modulation with it. It sounded decent.
I believe it. And I like that you said you went with the clip.
Yeah.
The clipping, because normally we're not supposed to do that, guys, right? You know those rules. That you're not supposed to go in the red digital, but work with it. Work with the mistakes, work with the problems and the malfunctions. They're going to happen anyway. So you could get frustrated, you could get angry, you could pull your hair out, try to take apart your whole studio to figure out where that buzz is coming from, or sample it. And like roll with it. And it's maybe in a way that's sort of what I did with that student. I rolled with him. I could have went against it and tried to dismantle his behavior just like I would my studio. But it worked better to use that energy in what I was doing. So that's yeah, embrace it,
Thank you.
Thank you guys.